New Zealand's biggest city, Auckland, again played host to the best off-road racers in the country as they campaigned for the Mickey Thompson Tyres and Wheels ORANZ New Zealand Offroad Championship at Colindale Park in Manukau. Each event held at this purpose-built venue always brings out some new machinery, and this time was no different. Making his debut in his new Pro 4 truck straight out of the US, Paul Hackett. Paul, your first time here at Manukau, what are you expecting?
Oh, just to go out and have some fun and stay out of trouble, really.
How will the truck handle the stadium?
Yeah, hopefully pretty good. I mean, in America it's one of the top trucks, so it's probably been me trying to learn how to drive it and throw it around the corners, back it in and power out without hitting anyone else or the walls. It's a real steep learning curve for me, you know, it's got a lot of horsepower. And with the two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive system it's got, you sort of got to back it into the corners or drive it off the back end. And so it's a real handful and real learning curve.
Back to test himself again against the track and the competition in his Concrete Treatments Pro 2 truck, Lee Bishop.
Yeah, it's going to be really drivey out there today, I think, yep.
At the last meet, I mean, you guys mixed it up with the Pro 4s. Will you be able to do that today with a drying track?
I think we should be able to, yeah. The four-wheel drive shouldn't be so much of an advantage out there today.
Off-road racing is a family sport. The brothers Baker, Mark and Gary proved that. Now Gary's daughter, Kenna, is carrying on the family tradition. Obviously a father and daughter combination. How long has this double act been going on? I know I haven't seen you around the track for a long time.
No, I sort of gave up probably 10 years ago. Sold my truck and then the girls came along and we're concentrating on them for 4 or 5 years. Kenna's come up, she won the youth championship last year and now she's moved into the U class, so this is our first season of racing together.
That'll be interesting. What do you think about that?
It was pretty cool. I get to see Dad in a truck again and yeah, and I can't wait to get out of my car because I've only raced it once so far.
It's a Pro 4 from America, originally Todd LeDuc's over there. It's got a 430 cubic inch Ford small block, puts out around the 800 horse. Four-wheel drive, has a disconnect on the front drive, so as you come into the corner it'll slip itself into two-wheel drive and then launch it out of the corner and away. So it's a fairly technical truck for our kind of sport, and yeah, lots of power, lots of good sounds.
Well, this is the start of heat number 1 for the Carlton Party Hire. Repco Cooper Tyres Pro Trucks. It's the Pro 4s, the Pro 2s and the Pro Lights all in together. And watch there on the outside, pretty in pink, that is Gary Baker. Down the inside of him is Nick Leahy in the SCC Pro Light. He'll go into the front straight away and just driving down the inside through turn 1, the Lucas Oil corner. That is Nick Ball. He's been a prestigious winner here at Manukau. He's going to slot his way into second place. Goes round the outside of Gary Baker as they head through the hairpin for the first time. So it is the SCC truck of Nick Leahy in the front. Gary Baker trying to get, in fact, got back in front of Nick Hall to move through into second. Remember Baker in the ex-Joel Giddy truck. This is another one of the Pro 4 trucks straight out of the United States of America. He sits in second place. Then we go back to the Vertex Lubricants truck, diving up the inside. Oh, and a little bit of contact there from Hall and Baker, but positions stay the same. Nick Leahy out the front. Baker back with a vengeance in the ex-Joel Giddy truck in second spot. And then it is Nick Hall in the Vertex Lubricants truck in third. So Nick Leahy starting to clear away, made his debut the last time we were here at Manukau in this very truck. Another one that's been there and done that through motocross and then off-roading back in the early days in Challenger and light buggy classes. But here he is finding a home in the trucks now. Just get a first glimpse of the Hackett Monster Energy factory Toyota. truck straight out of the United States of America. Won the US Pro 4 trophy at Crandon, Wisconsin, and then was straight on the boat and out here to New Zealand, and now in the hands of Paul Hackett. He's just having a bit of a learning curve, a pretty steep learning curve it is at that, as he snuggles up to the back of Nick Hall here. This is Gary Baker, dark lip Pro 4. Currently sitting in second place. Here comes Hall trying to get around the outside of them as they come down the front straight once again. Drying conditions here at Manukau, so speeds approaching the old 100-mile-an-hour mark as they head into the Mickey Thompson dipper and then over the main straight CT Civil jump. Baker in second, but I wonder for how much longer. Here comes the challenge from Hall, and Hall goes down the inside of them as they go through the ARB hairpin. And we've got a new second place man by the look of it, and that's Nick Hall. Well, these two at the front of the field know each other well, so it's Nick Leahy in first, Nick Hall in second, Gary Baker in third. Then we go back to Paul Hackett in fourth place, and I think it might be Lee Bishop in the CT Civil Concrete Treatments Pro 2 track, and right in behind him it looks like it might be Bruce McEwen in the Drill Force Pro 2. So they're sorting themselves out a little bit. Hackett just closes up the gap between himself and Gary Baker. That is the battle at the moment for third and fourth. In first place still Nick Leahy, right in behind him Nick Hall. Hall trying at a slightly different angle onto the main straight jump, and it nearly didn't come off for him, but it did in one way because he's got himself a whole lot closer to Leahy as they head up towards the tabletop as the laps wind down. There is Hackett. He's got up ahead of Gary Baker, so positions changing right across the field here in the first heat of the Pro Trucks. Nick Hall, number 861, trying every trick in the book to try and get around Leahy. Can't quite do it as they work their way into the switchbacks. Heading back towards the pits they go now. There is Paul Hackett. Oh, and he's got an issue in the Monster Energy factory Toyota. Gets it going now and doesn't lose the spot. So Gary Baker still right in behind him. This is what's happening at the front of the field though. Laps winding down here at Manukau. It's Nick Leahy in the front. It's Nick Hall in second place. Can Hall get close enough? Over the pit straight jump they come. Heading down the front straight once again. Hall on the inside, can't make the pass work. Heading down to the big main straight jump they come. Hall goes to the outside again, still can't get it done. So we're on to the last lap now of heat number 1, and Nick Hall is running out of time and real estate. He gets close, he changes his mind, he goes to the outside this time. Does it work for him? He's on the inside running for the ARB hairpin. Has it worked? It has. He gets the nose in front. Oh, and there's a little bit of slight contact. Leahy goes spearing off the track, and Nick Hall goes into the front. Well, I wonder if they'll be talking about that at the end of this race. It's Hall in the lead now. Here's the son of Kevin Hall, of course, from the Counties Manukau Off-Road Club. Done a lot of work behind the scenes to get this amazing event up and going. There is Leahy back into the fray, and he'll hold on to second place by the look of it. But this man is going to come through and win heat number 1 of the Pro Trucks here at Manukau. It is the ORANZ New Zealand Championship. It's a round of their championship series, and Nick Hall draws first blood. Second place it will be Nick Leahy, and in third place it will be a great debut for Paul Hackett. Next across the line will be Gary Baker, and he'd be followed by Lee Bishop, and one to come, and that should be McEwen. So it is Hall getting the win in heat number 1 from Leahy, Hackett, Baker, Bishop and McEwen. Now if we have a quick look at the Mickey Thompson replay, this is this incident earlier. A little bit of contact, or was there, and Nick Leahy just clipped the edge of the concrete barriers there, and that sent him off the course. So no harm, no foul. In heat number 2 it was Paul Hackett that lined up beside Lee Bishop. Pro 4 versus Pro 2 on the front row with Nick Hall and Nick Leahy resuming their battle behind. Hackett used the superior speed of the ex-Pro 4 truck to pull away and soon had a commanding lead. While at number 2, the Toyota-powered monster looked assured of his win, the advantage stretching to half the front straight. And then this. What looked spectacular but really only caused cosmetic damage meant that the screaming Toyota was sidelined for the day. Have a look at the various replays. The high-flying Monster Energy Toyota factory track is no more at Manukau. What about this from the inside perspective? It's the wildest ride Paul Hackett's had for quite some time. Luckily, Paul was able to climb from his truck, shaken but uninjured. On the restart, it was the first heat winner, Nick Hall, that went into the front. Lee Bishop had been dicing with Nick Leahy, but he slowed dramatically with a spectacular-looking engine fire. Meantime, Nick Hall untroubled across the line for the win, whilst officials and the crash crew contained the fire on the Bishop Pro 2 track. A much depleted field of trucks faced the starter in Heat 3, and despite some early resistance, Nick Hall again took charge. Bruce McEwen tried to take the fight to Hall along with Leahy, but in the end, Hall was just too good. 3 from 3 in the heats. The perfect start. One of the largest hydrovac Kiwi track fields took to the start line for heat number 1. Quickly, a pecking order was formed with the M58 Luke Robery and the M54 Asher Morgan at the front of the field. Kiwi trucks run on the shorter stadium circuit, missing out the switchbacks on the full-size track. By lap 2, Morgan had found himself in first place with Robery close behind. But by lap 5, he had increased that gap to a winning margin. He would go on to take the flag with Robery in second place. Heat 2 saw Robery come from third on the grid, take the lead as they headed into the tabletop. Second now being Lily Williams in the J72. Asher Morgan had come from grid 6 to get to second place. He passed Robery on lap 4 and would go on to win, making it 2 for 2. Heat 3 was much closer, with the M58 Robery and the M54 Morgan door handle to door handle. This battle continued as the laps wore down. Something had to give, and it did. Light contact sent Robery into a series of rolls, as these replays show. As a testament to the safety rules and the strength of these Kiwi-invented trucks, Robery was able to walk away unhurt. With the track getting a well-deserved drenching, preparations were being made for the buggies, Challengers, Lights and Pros, the Lucas Oil Lights and the CT Civil Challengers lining up together. Starting in the NZ Pro class, Tony Atwood.
Oh, the last time you were here was my first race in the car, so yeah, just getting used to it. And today we'll be, trying to keep it. There's a few cars out there today. Should be some good competition, bit of dust, yeah.
The Challenger class for up to 1600cc air-cooled V-dubs are where a lot of people get their start, like Serena Patterson.
This is my first time here in Manukau. I've been racing since June last year when we first got my first off-roader in the Challenger. This is the second one that we've got. Looking forward to getting out racing. I've always been into car racing. It started off with Speedway, going my whole life we've been going to Speedway, and my dad used to be an off-roader about 20 years ago, so he decided to take me to an event and I just fell in love with it and been wanting to get a car since, and now we're racing.
To make the step up from the Kiwi tracks to the Lucas Oil sponsored light buggy class is no mean feat, but that's what teenager Holly Russell has done. You come from a motocross background, and in my experience, but motocross people seem to have more aggression, and you've certainly got some aggression out on the racetrack.
Yeah, I do motocross too, so I've got a pretty busy life, but getting into the car, you know, I always love to be in a roll cage a bit more safer, and yeah, I love the cars too as much as I do with the motocross.
You're the perfect example of how to get into off-roads, aren't you? Because you started in the Kiwi truck, and here you are in the Class 5.
Yeah, I started when I was about 7 years old and progressed into this car. Started in a little Kiwi truck like the kids are doing now. My dad bought me a car when I was 7 in the shed, just him, and that's how I started. I was always at the back of the pack, but I've just kept practicing in those years, and now I'm into this car and I'm doing really well at it.
Lindsay Poynton, one of the true legends of the New Zealand off-roading scene, led the NZ Pro Buggy field away for heat 1 of 3, with Tony Atwood and Connor Nicklin arguing about second. Looking a little loose in the early going, Poynton stayed in the front. Second place was now Connor Nicklin in the 310, with Atwood in third and Mark Goldstone in fourth. Nicklin took the race to Poynton as the close quarters wheel banging action showed, but the veteran kept his head and the lead with 1 to go. Poynton across the line in first place, Goldstone second and Nicklin in third. Mark Goldstone got the drop on Sean Dickens to lead Heat 2. It was a lead he would hold on to, although positions were changing behind him. Dickens was now being stalked by Connor Nicklin, but as they passed the stricken Tony McCall, had second to himself. And that was the way they would finish, with Goldstone taking the win from Nicklin and Dickens. It was Connor Nicklin that got the best start in Heat 3, with Sean Dickens sliding up the inside of Tony Atwood to take second. Clear track in front of him, Nicklin could show his true pace and easily cleared away. Equally clear in second place was Mark Goldstone, but that was about to change. A quick recovery from this spin in turn 1 saw Goldstone hanging on to second, but there was no stopping the Heat 3 winner, Connor Nicklin. Sweeping around the outside of the front row to go into the front of Heat 1 of the Challengers and Light Buggy was the C63 of Bishop, followed by the C31 of Regan Stewart. Coming over the tabletop, his lead would be extended. Now sitting comfortable in second place was Regan Stewart, but heading into the Mickey Thompson dipper, this. Stewart was fine, but the crash brought out the red flags and the race was stopped. On the restart, it was again all Matt Bishop, winning the Challenger race with Holly Russell taking out the lights. With Bishop starting from pole position in Heat 2, the writing was on the wall for his competitors. The yellow V-dub driving away from the rest of his competitors with ease. With Aaron Hogg Medlock now leading the lights, Bishop was now lapping some of the stragglers in the class, such with his speed. And culminated in another Heat win. For the Challengers, Heat 3 was a carbon copy of the first and second heats, with Bishop again pulling away for the win. It was a lot closer in the lights, Holly Russell battling to pass Emma McKinstry for the win. Cruising over the line for the clean sweep, Matt Bishop, with Holly Russell pipping Aaron Hogg Metlock for Class 5. The NZ feature was made up of 3 buggy classes: the Light Buggy, the Pro Buggy and the Challenger. When the lights went out, it was Holly Russell leading, with Justin Waller, Nick Magnus and Aaron Hogg Metlock chasing hard. Cutting his way through the field from the back where the Challengers had started was Bishop. Things were getting a little willing back in the field, with Tony Atwood and Justin Waller getting together. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, Medlock was now battling with Bishop. Behind them, a titanic pro buggy battle. featuring the Salty Rebel Medlock, Lindsay Poynton, Connor Nicklin, Mark Goldstone and Sean Dickens. The pressure was on. By lap 10, Russell still held the Class 5 lead in the light buggies, and it was her turn to feel the pressure now from Bishop. Back in the field, the racing was intense. A little bit of wheel banging, a little bit of contact, sorting out the men from the boys. Bishop passed Holly Russell coming on to the front straight to move through into first place. Meantime, Russell was swamped by the faster Class 3 buggies of Connor Nicklin and Lindsay Poynton. At the finish, it was a close run thing, with Bishop taking the win from a fast closing Connor Nicklin and spinning across the line, Lindsay Poynton. When Can-Am and Bombardier brought out the first of the current four-wheel UTVs and the Japanese factories followed suit, it sparked a worldwide revolution in off-road racing as we knew it. They flew off the showroom floors everywhere, and competition numbers soared. Taking advantage of that, Cam Patton. Cam, I think the secret with the UTVs, and we've certainly seen it every time we've been here, is the close quarters racing. That must be pretty exciting from your point of view.
Yeah, it is extremely exciting actually. It's yeah, it's awesome. It's pretty full on, get your heart rate up, that's for sure. This is my third meet in it, so I've done one here, one in Taranaki, and now we're back here, so it's gone pretty well so far for me. It's good. Come here, get in these, and you've got a fair few laps under your belt, and you know, some of the enduros and that, you get a lot of seat time, so it's awesome. Go and do some recreational stuff and have a great day, and then the next day you can be racing.
Honda was a little late coming to the party here in New Zealand, and leading their charge, Matt Bishop.
Yes, it is actually really competitive. It's sort of midway between a Polaris and a Yamaha we've found. It's really good in enduros and really good on short course as well. We haven't quite developed a turbo for this thing yet, still learning the naturally aspirated, but hopefully in the future we'll come up with a plan.
The class of Auckland and New Zealand UTV racing is Carl Reutemann. Running his stocker or his modified Yamaha, he's virtually unbeatable here.
Yeah, we're in a turbo this year, so it'll be a bit of a change for us. I haven't driven a turbo one for a few years, so we'll see how this one goes. Yeah, definitely looking forward to it though.
And what's the difference? What's the most, I guess the power is the most different?
Yeah, two big differences. One is the power, obviously it makes quite a bit more. The other is they're wider, so we're allowed wider arms, so they're a bit more stable and they kind of corner a bit better, or you don't have to be quite as careful in the corners as you did in the non-turbo. Yeah.
Carl's background is in circuit racing and drifting, all with huge success. His brother Hans has a similar background and here was trying UTVs for the first time.
Yeah, I'm quite keen just for a new experience to see what it's like. So, got a fairly, decent circuit background on the tarmac. So yeah, keen for a change, see what it's like and see if I like it. Yeah.
We asked Carl if his other motorsport skills transferred across to off-road.
It all does, yeah, right, even from the drifting days, like everything, I think everything transfers over, so I'm pretty sure Hart's going to get up to speed pretty fast, yeah.
Going fast in his Kawasaki-powered Class 10 is what Ed Highstand is all about.
Yeah, it's Scott Buckley built BSL Terra. It's been around a few years. Ian Foster used to race it. It's got a ZX 1400 engine, Kawasaki, it goes quite good. Naturally aspirated.
They say rubbing's racing, and just looking at the side of it, you've been trading a bit of paint.
Yeah, I get a lot of rubbing, running with the S's, yeah, and the U's. There's a bit of rubbing out there.
Heat 1 of the ARB Ultra 4 saw Scott Michael take the lead from pole position. Following him, Bishop in his Honda and Coney Hartford and Tony Terrell. Hans Reutemann in his first UTV race was making early progress, to be mid-pack, mired in the dust. Matt Bishop soon took control, Mitchell in second and Hartford still third. On lap number 2, Cam Patton passed Bishop for the top spot and stayed there for the win. Heat 2 saw wheel-to-wheel action in the opening stages, with no one giving an inch. The decisive move coming in lap 4 when Shane McWatt got to the front. Hans Reutemann would come through for another podium and Cam Patton across the line in third. The third and final heat saw Dyson Delahunty take an early lead and hold on to it until this small mistake. Hans Reutemann going around the outside and into the front. When Reutemann spun going into the switchbacks, it gifted the lead back to Delahunty, but now he had company in the form of Cam Patton. As the race continued, Delahunty extended his lead over Patton and blasted over the line in first place, from Patton and Terrell in third. It was Carl Reutemann that blasted into the lead in Heat 1 of the Polaris Ultra 4 Turbos, keeping him company Aaron Rodgers and Scott Munro in the S83. By lap number 2, the battle for first had been decided, but second and third scrap was far from over, with Munro and Rodgers going side by side and wheel to wheel. Reutemann took the win, with Munro and Rodgers arguing about second and third. Heat 2, it was Rodgers that got the good start, shadowed by Reutemann, with the S66 of Rick Field and Scott Munro battling for the minors. Reutemann tried everything to get by, but going into the hairpin found himself defending the charging pack. A freshly watered track, a handful for all the drivers, but when Rodgers got a little bit too sideways, Reutemann took the chance and the lead. Again, Reutemann proved too good and won easily from Rodgers and Munro. Onto the third and final heat, and despite this harsh landing, it was Scott Munro who took the front from Field, Reutemann, Rodgers and Ed Highstead. Into the hairpin, and Field was double-teamed by both Reutemann and Rodgers, with the New Zealand #1 slipping into second. Through the switchbacks, Reutemann made his move on Munro for the front spot. He pulled away comfortably again to win, Munro holding on for second. The Polaris feature saw all of the UTV classes together for 15 laps, leading the way the U62 of Aaron Stone, followed by Keegan Terrell from the South Island and Cody Hartford. The first of the Reutemanns, Hans, was now in fifth, with brother Carl starting right from the very back. Mechanical issues saw the New Zealand champ stop briefly. Meanwhile, at the front of the pack, Tegan Terrell led from 75 Aaron Rodgers. By lap 3, Rodgers made his move on the front straight to take the front. Carl Reutemann was now back up to full speed and working his way through the field. When the pressure came on from Hans Reutemann, it was too much for Tegan Carroll, spinning out of third place and very lucky not to be hit by the following cars. A great battle group had developed featuring the two Reutemann brothers, Cam Patton, Scott Munro, Dyson Della Huntley and Cody Hartford. In the battle for second, it was Reutemann on Reutemann, and Harts could do little as Carl went by for the position on the front straight. 1 lap to go and the ENH New Zealand #1 made what would be the winning move, passing Rogers through the Lucas Oil turn 1. In the wars, the Tyrrell brothers once again from the South Island, this one bringing out the yellows. Rogers had managed to stay in contact with Reutemann, but a small mistake heading for the tabletop saw the prospect of a Reutemann 1-2. It was Carl that would take the flag and cap off a perfect day. Brother Hans would finish second. Pro 1 allows for unlimited engine size, unlimited modifications and two-wheel drive tube chassis cars, which are a recipe for spectacularly fast racing. In our past Manukau events, there's been one dominant combination. That is the Two-Man Structures Hydrovac Pro 1 of Brad Harvey. Now complete with a new sponsor and appearance, he was back. Brad, every time we've been here at the stadium, you've come away with silverware and putting on a hell of a show. What do you put that down to?
Well, it was reliability, but we've put a new engine package in the car. This is the first event out, so hopefully we can keep that going.
And looks totally different from the last time we saw it.
We've got a new sponsor come on board, Hydrovac, so he's the main reason that I've got to this event. So new livery and new names on the car.
To say that Dainham Templeman has had a few miles on the racing clock would be an understatement. From Formula Fords, tin tops, rallying and drifting, he's been there and done that. This is where it all started for you back in the day, and great to see you back.
Yeah, it was. It was where we originally started, and now we're back. You know, I'm judging this year at the drifting, which is a bit different, having to step away through it for health reasons. So yeah, it's nice to be back off-roading. It's just good fun and just good value for money. You get a lot of track time. So
another that's been around the off-roading scene in New Zealand is the driver of the Porsche 109, Alan Hilliam.
Yeah, I built this one about 12, 13 years ago. It's done 10 seasons. The engine's done 16 seasons in the Barger that I used to run for a number of years. So yeah, I've been around the sport for a long time. So
does that tell you that the engine's super reliable, or does it tell you that you're not working it hard enough?
Oh no, I give it a stick, but it's only like 216 horsepower at the wheels. It's an old 911. They only had 247 horse at the flywheel when they were brand new. So yeah, it goes okay. Yeah, I just came down for a bit of a skid. As I say, short course isn't my thing, but hey, it's the first round of the National, so we'll come along and see how we go.
Tim Ackers has had a hand building or repairing plenty of race cars through his company Shaw's New Zealand, especially in Speedway, but he has never built a car from the ground up for himself before.
Yeah, so it was quite a while ago. I designed and wrote it down on a bit of paper as an engineer myself, and spent a long time developing the car as we built the car. So the car developed as we went along, and you know, you start off wanting to build something and then it just turns out to be this big project. So you know, I'm 40 years old and I've always wanted to build my own car. I've always had race cars, but not my own personal one. So yeah, this is it.
The first heat of 3 for the Federal Tyres Pro 1 class saw Paul Ayres, number 169, leading from Alan Hilliam and Don Atwood. The yellow flags would come out in lap number 2 when Cody Harter and Tim Ackers got together. The He has held on to the lead heading into the switchback, but Don Atwood was getting closer. Also in the mix, Justin Davies and Dainham Templeman. Contact saw Atwood off the track and dropping a few spots. It allowed both Templeman and Davies to get closer to the front. On lap 3, they both passed the leader, first Davies and then Templeman, to relegate Ayres to third. A not so smooth landing and a dive down the inside was all it took for Templeman to hit the front. Making short work of the lap Baja bug of Arnold Jones, Templeman extended his lead over Davies to take the first heat win. Heat 2 saw Dainham Templeman and Cody Harter in the ex-Tony McCall car arguing over first position, but when Speedway ace Harter was tipped into a spin, it allowed Davies to move up. Tim Ackers now sat in second place with Offroad Racing's Don Atwood in third. These two had history. While Templeman still led, Don Atwood slipped down the inside of Tim Ackers to the last lap to secure second place. No one was going to deny Templeman the win and make it 2 from 2. So this is the third and final heat of the Federal Tyres Pro 1 class, and on the front row it is Don Atwood and Brad Harvey. Brad Harvey having all sorts of problems. In fact, you'll see that he's a non-starter. That new engine package hasn't really come to light for him. So it is the veteran in the Offroad Racing car. That is Don Atwood leading it. Tim Ackers in second place, and up the inside as they go through the Lucas Oil turn number 1, that looked like it was Dainham Templeman moving into third. Also alongside Templeman as they head to the ARB hairpin, Justin Davies. So they will sort themselves out for the first lap, but it is the veteran, Don Atwood. Last time he was here at Manukau, had a bit of a nasty crash, had it coming together with the man that was in second place, and that is Tim Ackers. Ackers still sits in second place. Templeman getting a little bit closer as they work their way through the switchbacks, heading back toward the pits once again. It's the Offroad Racing car of Don Atwood. You ride with him here as he works his way through and onto the pit straight. Up over the pit straight, jumping comes second place Ackers in the LS Chevy powered Ackers built, designed and manufactured car. Lap 2, Atwood just gets a little bit slowed in one of the deeper ruts coming through the Lucas Oil turn. That allows the field to close up to him. We're on board here with Justin Davies. You're watching up the front there as Templeman slips down the inside of Ackers, and very sideways there was Don Atwood in the Offroad Racing car. He managed to salvage that somehow and stays in the front. Looking behind him is Templeman. Then we go back to Ackers, and then we go back to Justin Davies. Justin Davies is using slightly different lines and getting very, very sideways as they work their way through the switchbacks, heading down towards the pits once again. Look at him soaring at the wheel. Justin Davies, the son of Curly. Justin doing the driving duties in this car full time now, and another one that's always picked up a whole lot of silverware here, Manukau. Atwood continues to lead onto the front straight. You ride looking into the face of the veteran. Over the big jump they come. Ackers gets a little bit front heavy as he sits in third place. Templeman still in second. Templeman gets a little bit closer to Atwood as they come down heading towards the ARB hairpin. Templeman tries to go down the inside. Atwood sees it coming and shuts the door. So Dainham Templeman's going to have to try something else here. Been around the off-roading scene since he was a teenager. Followed in the footsteps of his dad. His dad's still racing at 70 plus in the UTVs. And great to see Dainham back behind where it all started, and that is off-roading. I mentioned he's done drifting, he's done rallying, he's done racing, dabbled in a little bit of speedway as well. Back on board here with Justin Davies. Up ahead of him it is Templeman, Ackers. Ackers and then Templeman as Davies was looking at it, but in the order. Here comes the pass. Here's the move coming over the pit straight, and it is Dainham Templeman that goes into the front here. The Pace Pools Federal Tyres sponsored Pro 1 goes into the lead. Blumac Racing's Don Atwood through in second place. Acker's just losing a little bit of ground. You see Tim Acker's carrying a passenger. That's his young son he's carrying with him, so he'll be getting the ride of his life. And Damon Templeman also carrying a passenger in their two-seater as well. So Templeman into the front, made the pass through the switchbacks, heading back toward the pits now. Laps running down here in the heats. Heats paying points to decide the feature positions. Looking pretty good at the moment for Damon Templeman, you would think, but it works a la Speedway. If you're the top point scorer, you're starting off the back. And that's probably what's the fate that's going to befall Damon Templeman. Onto the front straight he comes once again, getting a little bit closer for second and third. Still Don Atwood holding second. Templeman over the CT Civil jump. Checkered flag comes out. He wins heat number 3. Oh, and it's as close as you like between Atwood and Ackers, but I think we'll give it to Atwood. Here it is on the replay. Oh, well, was it Atwood? Was it Ackers? It was so close. The judges say it was Don Atwood. So Atwood gets second, Ackers is third, and then it's Davies and Ears. Right, this is the feature event. Mickey Thompson brings it to you. Pro 1, Pro 2, Pro 4, and the Pro Lights. And it is the Pro 1s, the Federal Tyres Pro 1s, to get the start first. A pretty much depleted truck field because of all the action we've had during the day. And already it looks like Arnold Hughes in a bit of trouble in the Baja bug. They're on board here with Tim Ackers. Just in behind him, it is Justin Davies. This is what's happening at the front of the field. Ackers sits beside his son in the Shores New Zealand home built, if you like. Justin Davies sits in second place. So we're on board here with Justin Davies as he tries to round up Tim Ackers. Ackers in the front uses the old rip-off tear-offs as opposed to the electronics clear screen ones that some of the competitors are using. And look at the start that Nick Hall's got. He gave the Federal Tyres Pro 1s a bit of a start, and he's already right onto the back of Damon Templeman. In fact, he goes round the outside as they go into the dipper and up over the CT Civil jump. It really has been a happy hunting ground, has the Manukau Off-Road Stadium for this man. You're looking into the eyes of Nick Hall. Great little battle going on behind him. Justin Davies and Tim Ackers going in it like it's a World Championship. So half distance in the Mickey Thompson feature. Back on board here with Justin Davies. Then we cross to the white of the eyes shot of Tim Ackers. Up over the pit straight jump they come. Hall this time decides to take the inside running and gets the pass done on Tim Ackers. So he moves through into second position. Davies continues to lead it. Back on board here with Nick Hall. Well, he tries every which way but loose, doesn't he, to try and get around the 35 of Davies. Has he got it done this time? Uses his favourite outside line as he works through the Mickey Thompson dipper and makes the pass stick. Well, maybe there was a bit of a problem there for Davies. They're on board with him as he rides up over the tabletop. Now sitting in second place, this is Bruce McEwen. Oh, and that smashed the front suspension out of his truck, and I don't think that'll be going any further. The Drill Force truck comes to a halt in the Lucas Oil turn. You're back on board here with Justin Davies. Checkered flag comes out for Nick Hall, and he has the perfect day. 4 from 4, 3 heat wins, and the Mickey Thompson feature. It doesn't get better than that for this man. Nick, another masterful performance from you today.
Thank you very much. Yeah, no, it's been a good day. 4 wins, 4 starts, can't complain.
Well, we've seen some spills, we've seen some thrills and plenty of racing, and there's plenty more to come here from Manukau on CRC Motorsport.